Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m., April 17th, 2025, and we will call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board in Tequesta, Florida. Meg, will you take roll call, please?
Good evening,
Leslie.
everyone. At 6 p.m.
Leslie Dasher.
Here.
Teresa Maggio.
Here.
Elizabeth Shower.
Here.
Sherry Ambrose.
Here.
Jean McEldowney.
Here.
Marisa Theory.
Here.
Marco Valdez. Jared Gaylord.
Thank you. Okay, has everybody looked over the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is accepted. And the meeting minutes from March 20th, 2025, have you all had a chance to look those three over?
Okay, I know, but I just have a correction on, hold on, sorry.
How do you always find these corrections?
It's for the minutes for the Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee that met on January 16th. Under item 2, the agenda items, it said Tequesta resident Marco Valdez. His address is 102 Beechwood, but Beechwood is spelled B-E-E-C-H. It was just a, what do you call it?
Typo or?
Not
Yeah.
a typo, you know, when you do spell check, it just comes up, but it's Beechwood.
Okay.
And it's only because Marco lives in
I
the
wouldn't know
development.
that.
Otherwise,
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
make a motion to approve all of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor with the change of address?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. And our first agenda item is SPM 01-25, application from GMH Tequesta Holdings for a site plan modification to update the roof material and color on an existing 114,225 square foot building in the mixed-use zoning district and village center overlay. This property is located at 701 Old Dixie Highway, Tequesta, Florida, 33469.
Chair, both this item and the next are applications. These are quasi-judicial hearings. So that said, if there's anyone present here this evening who plans to give testimony regarding either of these items, I need to swear you in. So if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury in the laws of the state of Florida to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good. You may be seated. At this time, I'll also ask members of the board to give any ex parte communication disclosures that you may have had with the applicant for application SPM 0125.
None.
None.
Okay.
Okay, very good. You may proceed on this application.
Okay, and is the presenter Meg? Is Meg? Okay,
I am here.
okay.
Jay, we're having some technical difficulties with the presentation. Can't maximize it.
Welcome to
Oh.
my world.
Yeah.
I can't access the mouse. We can look at it. Nope, can't do that anymore either.
It's not coming.
If anyone has a mouse with a dongle, we can try. I might be able to flip it here. I think we all have it anyway. Just not online.
Do you want me to second? Well,
So we are going to be looking at 701 Old Dixie Highway, which is Futures Recovery and Rehab. There we go. This has been going on since 2012. It's the same project. What they're going for right now is they're asking for a roof color change and material change. Currently, what's on the building is a barrel tile. It's kind of like a light green color, and this is what they would like to transition to. It's, Topeka Pantina Tropical is what it's called. One of the things that I really wanted to show you, thank you. Woo! There you go.
Perfect,
So
okay.
the site location, everyone's familiar with it, just north of Village Boulevard, East Old Dixie. Proposed scope of work since 2012, Old Dixie Highway has been operating as Futures Recovery and Healthcare. The applicant is requesting a site plan modification to change the material and color pursuant to 2253A, authorizing the planning and zoning board to provide recommendation to village council. Village council will consider the board's recommendation and then render their final decision. Here again, current site conditions. This is the proposed rendering. We have materials and color. All right. On the left, you're going to see the current material and color, and then on the right, you see the proposed. So this is one of the things that I wanted to show you. These images are if you are heading south on Old Dixie and then looking towards the project. The landscaping is very lush there. You really can't see the building, you can't see the roof. As you continue down south, it gets even lusher. And then the view from Village Boulevard facing north. Again, you can see the landscaping plan there on the bottom. You get to see a little bit more of the elevation, but again, the project is heavily landscaped. Criteria for review, you'll be looking at harmony with other buildings, harmony with the surroundings, facade. Methods of design, inappropriate building styles, garish design, exterior forms, and the use of symbolic colors. As we discussed, this is a site plan modification. It's limited to exterior aesthetics, maintains the use and scale of property, and it requires no additional parking, and follows the review and approval process outlined in Village Code. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions regarding the project?
Okay. Yes?
I'd just like to give you a little bit of history of this property going back to the 1980s.
Okay.
Well, the late 80s, early 90s, when this property, when it came in front of planning and zoning, when we first started, it was approved, this building was approved to be an assisted living facility. And then all of the empty property that is to the north were to be townhomes. Okay, you're shaking your head, so you know the history. And then it went defunct, so it sat there. And then they came in and they revitalized the whole thing. And they didn't do, they didn't do the buildings, but I'm pretty sure all of the infrastructure for all of the sewers and everything and the water is still underground for all of those townhomes. I mean, it was really quite interesting. And it was very controversial then, way back then, because people didn't want an assisted living here. It's interesting, so.
So it went from assisted living to,
Then they went defunct,
yeah,
and then it sat there as vacant, and then they came in and they purchased it, and then they made it a rehab.
facility, so no assisted living anymore in there.
No,
I don't think it ever was.
it never was. It was a vacant building. It just sat there. It was interesting. When I saw this, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I'll give you a little history lesson. So, okay.
Isn't the change mostly just for insurance, right? Going to a metal roof, the stainless steel metal roof?
If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening. Omar Kamal. I'm the executive director at Futures of Operations. And my residential address,
Just
or
your business
oh,
address.
701 Old Dixie Highway,
Okay.
Tequesta. So this is being driven by Futures, not driven by insurance. The roof has suffered many damages over the years, and basically we're at that point, we're just patching, those damages. And the owner, Mr. Gary Holloway, he wanted to just redo the whole thing from an aesthetic standpoint and obviously for safety reasons. So,
Okay.
and I agree with you. I mean, the parcels are still sitting out there that were meant to be townhomes. Eventually, probably in a couple of years, we'll be back before you here. We are looking to actually build a couple of buildings out there. I think Jay is familiar with that case. I think we spoke a couple of years ago about that.
Okay, well, you could tell Gary Holloway. I haven't seen him for over 15 years, but tell him I said hello.
I will.
Thank
I
you.
sure will. Thank
He's a very good gentleman. Thank you.
you. Yes.
Okay, are there any more board questions for presenter?
This is Jason Aramburo. This is the GC, so he's going to
I
be
see.
taking point on the project.
Okay. Okay.
pass it every day.
And if
We all do.
We all go to Publix.
We all go to public and pass it every day.
Okay, we can open the floor to public comment. No comments? Okay, closing the floor to public comments. Are there any more board comments?
I will make,
it's great.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It'll be nice.
Yeah.
The old one looks so faded and
Yeah,
faded and worn.
we're always
It's
happy
nice.
to see it.
It's tested.
I'll make a motion to approve,
Oh, yeah, a recommendation.
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 I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to recommend approval of SPM 01-25. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Ready for number 2?
We are ready for number 2. And once again, I'm going to ask the board if you have had any ex parte communications with the applicant related to application 0225.
No.
No?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so agenda item number 3 is SPM 02-25, application from Tamwest Realty, Inc. for a minor site plan modification for new paint colors on existing buildings equaling 107,597 square feet in the C2 zoning district and the US Highway 1 overlay. This property is located at 500 to 707 US Highway 1, Tequesta, Florida. Meg?
The applicant has brought in some color boards for you guys to look at, so I'm gonna place them right here, if you wanna spread them around. So we are going to be looking at County Line Plaza. This is site plan modification 0225. Here is the location of the site. It's just west of US 1 and again, north of Village Boulevard. I would like to take a moment and go over the history and recent approvals that are associated with this site.
Oops, same thing.
So,
I think they're all just plenty for
Okay.
everybody.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's okay. Last year, the applicant came with a new color scheme proposal, and it was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board with 2 conditions. The applicant was required to address the color of the roof within 6 months of painting completion, and an updated master sign program was required within 6 months of the painting completion. Later the same year, the applicant came back and they expanded upon the original approval by introducing additional colors, modifying some locations, and they included the painted roof to satisfy the roof color conditions set forth in SPM 0124. The master sign program condition remains in effect for SPM 0424. Currently, SPM 0424 is the governing document for this site. So here is the initial submittal. You've got a kind of gray tone, 5 colors here. Again, this was approved with the master sign program to be updated and the roof. Here is their next submission. We've upgraded to 6 colors. There were some differences in the location. This one satisfies the first condition regarding the roof. The second condition regarding the master sign program stays. So currently, this property does have a permit open, a stucco paint permit. It was pulled by Bilodeau Construction. Scope of work as listed on the application includes paint and stucco. Elevations approved with the permit reflect the color scheme authorized in SPM 0224. So this is your current color approval. And these are your current conditions. And here is the new proposed. Side by side.
I love it.
I see the sign, but I don't see the diner, that the diner is going to,
I
Yes.
think the diner's included.
is it somewhere in here?
It's an out of parcel.
It's
Hold on.
It's in here.
It's
in
in
the-
here.
yeah.
The diner is in here.
I do have the, okay.
Hold on.
So here's the proposed color key. Previously it was more gray tones. This is more of like a neutral beige.
Okay.
Some of these colors are captured in the in the previous approval, the linen ruffle and the delicate white.
I knew it was-
Oh, that's the diner.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Instead
see.
of green.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
The previously approved colors.
Okay.
And now I have a bunch of renderings for you. So here is your approval. Here is your current and proposed. Here is your approve and proposed. Approved coloring. Current versus the proposed. The approval versus the proposed. This goes on for a while, so I'm gonna.
It's a better color. As much as I liked the gray, but it makes it so much cleaner.
Very clear.
Remember though, take a look at, so the Publix has the color with the shutters. So,
Right.
so don't just look at the Publix view,
Oh,
look
no.
at the whole,
No, I
holistic view of
realize
the
that.
shops and
Well,
plaza
yeah,
as well.
but you've got all of the others. I mean, and then you have the galley. Where is that? Well, it's in here.
Yeah, it's in our stuff, yeah.
Need the diner back?
No,
What do you mean by
no.
the galley?
Is that it?
Hold on.
It's the arch,
Here you go.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that shows,
Yeah.
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 right there.
Everything's.
So much better.
It is much better.
Oh, boy, what a difference.
Big
And
difference.
the amazing part
It's
is
a
I've been
diner.
watching
Yeah.
as they've been fixing the structure and patching it, and I'm like, my goodness, it's really weathered a lot since
As soon as you go to paint, you find all those cracks.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
that's
but I
true.
mean, but where Rico's was, where that overhang was like, there was a couple of the stuff that was falling down, and thank God when it fell down and nobody was underneath it, so
Yeah.
we were very fortunate, so.
So
It's a much better color.
Mm-hmm.
lots of these comparisons for you.
Yeah,
But
that's very nice.
criteria for review, you're going to be looking at harmony with other buildings, harmony with the surroundings and facade, methods of design, inappropriate building styles, garish design, exterior forms, and the use of symbolic colors. So this is a minor site plan modification for section 2253B. This enables the planning and zoning board to grant final approval on aesthetic modifications to exterior building color or finish when not accompanied with any other site plan modification. So your decision will be the final decision.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
The roof color will remain red.
Yes,
Okay.
there is no,
That's,
No, they're not painting it.
No, that's just
There's no
the
picture of
painters.
that.
No, it's
tile.
fine.
well,
Pressure washes
it's
are
what's
fine.
there right now,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the color scheme for the signs will be red as well,
red.
for the signage.
I think the signage is the property of the tenant,
was
so
that
it's
green
hard
that
for
I
them to
mentioned.
change it, so that whatever the color is, right?
It
Am I
seems
right
like
about that?
It seems like we,
Previous master sign program?
yes, a master sign program,
So
yeah.
the SPM 424 had the condition that the master sign program needed to be updated.
Right.
The sign program that is currently in place is older. Some of the items that are called out in it are antiquated. It's not what people use anymore. With this submission of colors, with this submission with the gray tones and blues, the board felt,
It's more
I
conducive.
feel that the board felt that it needed to be updated to be more in line with those tones.
Yeah.
Okay,
This new proposal does not touch the master sign program at all, but it is something that you can ask the applicant about.
okay, and then that's something we didn't we have, that has to be done in the future. We were still, didn't we require
If
a
a master,
update?
if a
an
master
update to
sign
the-
program was to be required to be updated, it would not be done in one foul swoop. The program would be updated, and then the tenants, as they came and go,
Okay.
came and
What
went.
would, yeah.
Okay,
The condition said that within 6 months of completion, they would then come back with
with
that.
that updated sign.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, sign program, okay. Yes, okay, that's what I was thinking. It still has to be done, in other words.
If you move forward with what they're proposing right now, they have no conditions for a roof or for the master sign program. If you'd like to discuss that with the applicant, now would be the time.
Okay,
So, okay, what they're basically doing is they're making it a lighter color to making their present signage more conducive with the colors so that the tenants don't have to change the signs, whereas if they went with the other color, they had to change the signs. So it's up to
No.
us as to whether or not we want them to update the signs.
So, Jay, I'm sorry,
And this
please,
is the time that we do it.
please correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody would be forced to change their signs at this time.
Well, no, it's
Right.
only as the tenant leaves.
Yes,
Or
as the
or
sign
something
works,
breaks
as
and
a
then
new
it has to
sign
be
permit
redone.
comes
Yes.
in, yeah.
But the reason they're doing this is not to avoid that sign condition. They're doing it because they prefer this new color scheme,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Well, it seems like we did have the condition that they have to come back with the new master sign program, and then that still is true, correct?
It is not part
You
of this
would have to
proposal.
Well,
redo that
Oh, I
condition
got
if
it,
you
Yes.
wanted.
okay.
Well, that's what
That
I
was true
said.
for the prior
Yeah.
approval.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Because that, because I thought that's how they were trying to get rid of it. So we could make that part of the motion that they come
Yes.
back
Mhm.
with
Correct.
and meet the requirements for the new signage.
Yeah,
When a new tenant or the signs
break or something,
break
right.
or
Mhm.
need to be, okay.
I remember one of Marie's objection last time was related to harmony with the Dunkin' Donuts. I definitely do feel like this color palette is, I mean, it's so neutral, it probably does go better with the Dunkin' Donuts facility.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just think the Dunkin' Donuts could change
Dunkin'
their
Donuts,
colors too.
yeah.
I mean,
Dunkin' Donuts is a franchise, they're not changing their colors or their logo.
Well, and you got Starbucks also. It's an outer, you got Starbucks,
Well,
which is the
Starbucks
outer.
is
So
lighter.
that was gonna be one of my questions, the color of Starbucks is this light color, it's more in
It
this
is, and
palette
they
than
have
the
the
gray
wood-
green.
They have
Yes.
the wood
Yes,
tones. the
Yeah,
woods.
so it's more harmonious with the Starbucks.
Oh,
It is.
definitely, yeah.
So
Yeah.
is the Chase Bank as well
Yeah.
as, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to like
Yeah.
drive around a little, not
Yep.
just go to Publix or Jersey Diner, but just drive around a little and see what's, I'm sorry, I get nosy sometimes just to see.
A lot
that
of
there's
our buildings are going
businesses.
white and cream, so it's my only concern, but they do still have the depth by having the taupe, so I feel like at least
Yes.
it's not gonna read as just one
Yeah.
color.
Yeah,
I don't know why, I have my phone on silent.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, were there any more questions for Meg?
No, but,
And-
I would like to make a motion.
Oh, we have to,
Oh, we have to open it to the
Open
public,
up for public
okay.
comment
open, okay, we're open for public comments. Marie, would you please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Marie Sapiri, I live in the country club. I think this is a better palette than the previous one, so I thank the applicant for that. I really like the blue. And I would strongly encourage including the sign program as part of it. And I would ask the applicant, through the board, to please strongly encourage your tenants to go with blue for their sign, some variety of blue, because I think you're working with the coastal colors, and so if we could bring in some more of the blue, I think it would really look nice on, in addition to getting away from the plastic, the raised time, so I'd like to, just for ideas, the Gallery Grill Plaza, their signs pop out, or they are 3D, I guess I should say, but not plastic. And then with either, I really dislike the see-through plastic backlit, or not quite see-through plastic backlit, and I would like to see the village generally get away from that. So that would be, those are my comments. I really encourage the master sign plan, and to the extent we can put a thumb on the scale of blue or greens, I guess, preferably towards the blue, since you've got the blue awnings. I think that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, we're closing the floor to public comment. Any more board comments?
Oh.
I totally agree. If you were talking a little bit slower, I would have been able to take notes, but I agree with the blue and I agree with what you said, totally. It's a good idea.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that they come back, as new tenants or the signs to go back to the original one where they have to come back with the sign palette, change the signage and make everything like the blue color, because I think that would be really stunning.
I do too, but is that just a suggestion?
It's a
or is that-
suggestion.
It's a suggestion.
You have to do mock-ups, you have to see how it
Yes.
all looks
Yeah.
together.
You have to,
know,
yeah.
have to play with colors.
So
Yeah.
would your proposed condition retain the same language as the prior one?
Yes.
Applicant must return within 6 months of project completion with
Yes.
an updated master signage plan.
Thank you.
But staff has heard you, and we'll work with them to make it have a blue palette,
Because
so
look
that
at
when it
this.
comes to you,
How
it'll,
nice that
it'll fit that.
Yeah.
So
I
Do
really,
mock-ups
you know,
and-
that blue palette is just,
Beautiful.
It
it's
is
very
pretty.
stunning, so.
Yeah.
But are you recommending, or are you saying you want to approve,
I'm making a motion
to approve?
to,
With the
to,
condition.
to approve with the condition of the, what we did prior for the signage, after 6 months of completion of the project.
Okay, we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, and, okay, so, we
not
have a
sure.
motion to recommend, or to approve SPM dash, or 02-25 with the expectation that they come back within 6 months of completion with an updated, master sign program.
Yes.
Would that be the expectation or recommendation?
No, they will have to come back with,
They have to come back.
we're not choosing colors, we're just,
Okay,
that will be up to them, but,
I'm okay with that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
It'll really be pretty.
When are you painting?
You did.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
But then we're ready to go, we're ready to go.
Oh, can't
I
wait.
gave up years ago in the eighties, and sounds like 20 years on board there for many years back when it was Kmart and Windy City. The original sign approval were blue.
Oh,
I was the original property manager for 15 years, and I
Oh,
retired.
wow.
Unfortunately, things didn't work out with Sandy, and I stepped back in to help out, just temporarily. So I'm very happy that you all like tree colors.
Oh, they're very
We're ready to go.
We're
Yeah,
ready to
we're-
go.
I
Good.
can't believe it. I
we're
wasn't
ready
started
to,
yet.
yes.
Oh, it's gonna be
Thank you.
beautiful.
So I can start painting basically.
Yes, you can, tonight.
Brought my tile and everything with me, so I'm ready.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Wishing you the best.
Okay, any staff comments?
Yeah, I just want to do just a quick follow-up on that mobility plan we talked about, and I sent you guys some stuff. So Meg, can you pull up that, that map that's there? So this is an interactive map that you can go in and put comments in. We've got, I think we have 28 or 30 comments already. We've also got tons of comments from in-person meetings, and we're gonna have some other ones. But I'd love to pick your brains, so the floor is yours. Throw it, any suggestions, ideas, thoughts you have on ways to improve mobility, point out issues, maybe of concern, safety, kitchen sink.
I do have one, and I'm not sure where it falls, but on the one they're working on right now, supposedly, maybe the next phase is where it hooks up, goes around that basin, and it would hook up to Riverside Drive. There's, the sidewalk is on the far side of the street, so people would have to cross Riverside Drive. There's a curve. You know, there's no sidewalk on the park side.
That's
And,
county.
and it's just a little kind of dangerous if people are trying to run across the
Every time I look
street,
there,
and
I
I don't know if there
think,
can be a crosswalk or some lights or something so people can get from where the sidewalk is
yeah.
across that street,
Yeah.
because it is on a curve. Well, it's very curvy.
That's one of our biggest issues. We have a real shortage of crosswalks. We've already identified many locations. And our consultants, you'll be happy to know, have already identified that area as a great opportunity to create almost kind of like a greenway between is it Jackson, what's it called? The Jackson River, Pines Riverfront?
Yeah.
Kind of all along there through Riverside, and then you can also connect into Remembrance Park
Yeah.
through Riverside.
Exactly, yeah.
So we're looking at ways too to connect, because there's phase 2 of Remembrance Park that's kind of in talks right now, but ways that you'll be able to, that we could do even just a temporary access into Remembrance Park until that's done. So we are
Yeah,
looking at that.
There's so many walkers on Riverside Drive, and I'm sure a lot of them will now use that, but it's a curvy road, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of scary. So it'd be nice to see something, a crosswalk with some lights so people are aware that it's there.
Good one.
I have
Thank you.
two, after our last meeting, I don't know if you saw it, but going down Seabrook, there were 3 kids with electric bikes, and the police officers had pulled them aside and were talking to them. And I'm like, I wanted to honk my horn and give them a thumbs up. I mean, you know, because there's a couple of them that are still riding their electric bikes in the middle of the
Off the
street of
street,
yes.
Seabrook, and
Yeah.
you're driving, and they really don't give a damn, you know?
Yeah,
And if you, I will say this, if you see them without a helmet on, please call our police department. The village manager and I were sitting over at Gallery Grill the other day, and we saw kids with the helmet on the bike.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah,
a
but
common
not
thing,
on
they
the
tell
head.
the parent says, take your bike, take your helmet with you, and they say, oh, sure, and then they just put it on the side of the bike. So we called the PD, and they came out right away and said, put your helmet on, and they're gonna start ticketing. So if you see someone doing that or anything crazy, please call our police department.
Could you please help me with golf carts? Why would a person put a car seat on the back of a golf cart and drive down the road?
Seabrook.
Yeah,
What did they have
that
on the
drive
back?
me
We-
crazy.
we're-
A car
Seabrook,
seat
I
with an
mean,
infant.
we're not even a golf course community.
We're not. And
And the other thing that's aggravating me is on US 1, I mean, and I was a big advocate for all of that bike path, but the other morning, there were like, no, it was last weekend, there were at least 30 bikers, and they were 6 people across.
they're not in a row.
Taking, they were taking the bike lane and the first lane, and you had to go around them. I'm like, really?
I know.
There's
it's
nothing you
against
can
the
do
law.
about road
Nothing.
bikers. It's,
You can't.
they're all over Beach Road. I know you know
Oh,
that.
yes.
Oh,
my
I have
gosh,
no
yeah.
idea.
They
And
have to
then
right
they
away.
get hit.
No, but they're
It's
arrogant.
file lawsuit.
They give
Hey,
you
I
the
know, it's
finger
against the
if you,
I saw it, she saw it.
Tell me
Oh,
about
I
it.
know, because we used to run on
you know,
on the beach
but I
road
mean,
on
it's
our
like,
own bikes.
you know, it's like an education of people just for common courtesy, you know, and, cause, I mean, God forbid if I should hit somebody,
I know.
you know.
Well, I saw a golf cart just this past weekend, and it had the big orange sign on the back, and it
It's
reminds me
required to, yeah.
of the Amish country.
I think that's a requirement.
So that's actually a low speed vehicle. So those are different than golf carts. If you have a low
it's-
speed vehicle, it's got lights,
if
it's
it's
got
street legal.
it's street legal, it's got blinkers,
Seatbelts and.
yeah, license plates, seatbelts. You can drive it not this exact same as a car, but you can drive them faster than a golf cart.
But still, the golf carts, I can't fathom putting children on the back of them.
That's
and they're all
crazy.
open. You took a turn, you lose the car seat and the kid.
But what is the law on the electric bikes? I mean, what really is it? Can they drive on the
Well,
road?
No, they're not.
Can
supposed
they
to,
drive
really.
on sidewalks, which is
shouldn't.
what they do on Beach Road?
They
Fly down the sidewalk.
the village a few years ago, maybe it was a year ago, had an ordinance passed where they want the e-bikes to actually be on the street, on the sidewalks, not the street.
And people are walking on the
I know.
sidewalk.
But they feel better, the police department, the village council felt better about them being on sidewalks than on the street.
Well, yeah, cause they're
they're
majority of
kids.
them are, 95% of them are children that are on the bike. And then again, they're going down, they don't care
They
whether
think it's a
you're,
motorcycle. They pull
whether
the
you're
wheelie.
walking or
They
not,
really
so.
think if they're really,
Yeah, we've seen them
You have
like
to jump out
pop
of
the
the way.
wheelies and stand on the seat.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and they don't care. They'll look at you and
Shocking.
you're behind them and they just keep going. They don't even care.
not mine,
That's
yeah.
on my street too, because they just think, you know, it's like,
I never
I
saw
wish the
anything
police
like
would take a zero tolerance.
I've been
Well,
called.
they
They're
do.
they're
more
they're yeah
active.
they're
No
doing
talking.
they're doing a lot. Our police department is doing a lot. I mean they were already doing a lot, but since the Jupiter issue, they've ramped it up even more.
I hear the
They were-
kids
they were in
saying
our- they
that
were
they're
in-
on our street because that's where the police aren't. So like the police are definitely very active and the kids are aware. So I think it's just staying on it, and I can see that it's making a difference even in our neighborhood
It
with how
is.
the kids are behaving in the helmets.
Right.
So I appreciate
The kids were
everything you guys
going
are doing,
through
but I think it's funny.
our neighborhood, and the one kid said, "The cops saw me,"
Yeah.
and there came the
So
cop.
they did take it up in Jupiter, we
Yes.
all know.
Yes.
Yes.
But we have not.
We had a meeting with at the last workshop with our police department where they talked about e-bikes. There really wasn't much public concern because everyone went to the Jupiter thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Jupiter really took any real action.
That's
I haven't
what I was
seen,
wondering.
you know, I live very close to where that accident happened, and they were nuts for about a week. Their police were everywhere, and I haven't seen them since then.
Yeah,
They've
but
gone right back to.
Majority of the time now,
But
I
here-
don't see 2 people on an e-bike. I only see 1 person.
That's the other
I
thing.
think that's,
That's the other thing to talk to people about. The kids that crashed were
Tandem.
tandem on a bike, and you can only have 2 on a bike if there's actually 2 seats on the bike.
Right,
If you
right.
see 2 kids, or I see 3 sometimes,
Lord.
I haven't seen.
again, do not be afraid to call the police department, because our police department is also tracking how many calls they get on e-bikes. Or they're someone's probably furious that I'm saying call the police department all the time, but they are tracking it, and I think they had something like 90 calls last year,
Oh, wow.
or in the past year, calendar year. And just talk to parents about it. That's the big thing. From what I hear too, a lot of people have started removing or taking away their kids' e-bikes. They didn't realize how fast they could go. So talk to your friends, talk to people that have kids, and educate them.
Well, and the only thing that I would be concerned about calling the police about is like, if I file a complaint, then the parent can say, who filed this? And then they come banging on my door, why'd you report my kid? So I'd be less likely to call the police because I don't want their angry parents coming to my door upset with me, so.
I don't know that you have to file a police report. I think you can just call the
Well,
it's
non-emergency
But isn't
line.
But isn't it,
You can call the non-emergency line and
You
just
just give them my
state.
name.
You're not filing a
well,
complaint.
they've got my number when I call.
Yeah.
Well,
I have been.
Everybody has your number.
well, but-
All of our numbers.
I believe you are safe from that, because
Yes, Sharon
otherwise,
Arrows, okay.
no, yeah, I don't think I'll double check with people, but I don't think that your information can get back to, if you call the police, right? So if you call,
Honestly, I don't
because
know.
if you called in and said reported on a murderer, they wouldn't say, oh yeah, it was
Leslie
Leslie
Dasher.
Dasher that's the narc on this murder. Like, they're not gonna put that out in the
Oh,
public,
okay,
right?
okay,
So,
okay, that's the only thing that would stop me, is because I'd be afraid some of these angry
Well-
parents that just want their stupid kids out of the house and, not in their hair, so.
That's right.
yeah.
I don't wanna drive you anywhere. Most of my feedback, and I've been trying to do it in the app and I've struggled, I think it's my phone. I see a lot of people are putting crosswalk signs, kind of where the places I think of crosswalks being problematic, like Tequesta and US 1 is problematic, right? Like you gotta cross this way to cross that way, and where they're trying to do wildflowers, and I get it, but it is not a great intersection, and
It's
especially
not-
with the train.
Yeah,
So like, that whole area to me is
it's
super
not
problematic.
walker friendly.
No,
No,
and
it's
then now
not.
that there's the Barnes and Noble across the street too, like maybe additional crosswalks to get into that plaza over there, like there's more draw in that plaza than there used to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no mid-block crossings on
Yes.
US 1, so there's only crosswalks at the major
lights.
intersections, but there's not what's called a mid-block
Yeah.
crossing. So we've already
Like at
identified
Village
that.
or wherever you would put it, yeah.
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 Well, it still wouldn't hurt to put a traffic light at Village
Boulevard.
Boulevard and US 1, but, that's not gonna happen. We've been trying to do that for the last 30 years, so.
Yeah, that comment has been made, and I think the county or
Well, the county has,
FDOT
you
did a
have to
study,
have
and
so many deaths at that intersection, so,
That's what it is, they count how many.
Is that right?
well, a certain amount of trips too.
yeah.
So they
Well,
have to have a certain number of trips and that.
that's the only way you can get it. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Okay, and if
Oh,
we're,
thanks.
anything else before we?
Nope.
Okay, if we're ready to.
Oh, is there
Oh.
another public comment?
I don't have a comment, I just have a question. When is the next phase of what's the timeline for the mobility plan?
Yeah, so there's still going to be another public outreach event. I don't even want to put out what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a bike ride event with the kids. We're trying to do something like that where we'd have like a really fun little like event and educational thing, and then also do some ask the parents for feedback at the event. But we're trying to think of the best way to do that, or maybe at like a Remembrance Park grand opening. Because the last one we did was at the food truck night, and we got like phenomenal response. So we want to have it at some sort of event, not just like a standalone night, because you get 6 people to show up, and it'll be you guys. So there's that, and then there'll be some reporting back to council, kind of about like the preliminary findings. And then they'll start kind of compiling it into reports. So it's going to be still over the next couple months.
Okay.
And
So
still
the-
some more
the
opportunity.
feedback phase is still over the next few months?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
still doing feedback. And this stuff, I mean, if you have people in your social networks, send them to that map and tell them to put the feedback in. We've got an article in Smoke Signals that's, I think it's going to be the front page of it. So we're going to get some good feedback, hopefully.
Okay.
I just have one actually comment on, I don't know if you have anything on Cypress, but it'd be nice if we're gonna be able to walk more, to be able to walk down Cypress. I discussed that at the thing, but, there are no sidewalks, I know we can't put them in, but trying to make some sort of buffer between people walking and the cars cars that are going up and down Cypress would be, I think, good, especially as that area turns over and becomes more of a place where people wanna go to.
Cool.
I think I mentioned that before, but.
Great idea. Thank you.
Planters is what I have in mind.
Okay, thank you, Marie. If we're ready to adjourn?
I'll make
Okay.
a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Okay.
Hey, happy Easter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sober.
So prior to 2020, you had to be